you know, if you have something to say, own it.
Sure.
And that's sort of the way I feel. I know it's not the way it's done.
Right.
And I understand that, but sometimes it's you know, you read something which can be hurtful, not necessarily to myself, but to anybody. And it's somebody's hiding behind the anonymous posting, and that doesn't seem right to me.
I got to say, the tone of the campaign with you five right now is excellent. I mean, it really is. You know, what are our shared values? Where do we want to take the state?
No, I think it's great, and even on the blogs, and a lot of us are engaged in conversations on John Odom's blog, Green Mountain Daily, and it's all about the issues. And I give John a lot of credit for that too. He's really, you know, he asked us a series of questions. I mean, he gave us 3 pages of questions and asked for answers.
Right.
I don't know who's reading through all the answers, but that's okay, because if people who want that kind of information, it's right there for them. And sometimes the responses are coming back. I've been asked follow-up questions, and I try to respond to them. But it's about issues, and I believe that the 5 Democrats in this campaign have really tried to set that tone. We've been to a number of forums together. We joke around that perhaps we ought to meet in Montpelier for driving south and carpool together, which might actually get us some national attention if you 5 candidates who are running against each other all get out of the same car in Brattleboro having carpooled together. But you know, I think there's mutual respect there. And it's really been about the issues. And the forums that we've been to, the folks who are organizing those have been organizing issues forums. They want us to talk about education. They have questions, substantive questions for us. There's no forum yet where they're saying, ask each other questions or get involved in a back and forth debate. So it's really been about the issues and vision, and I enjoy doing that. I think that's what Vermonters deserve.
Yeah, need. That's a great segue to actually get into some of the issues now that we've talked about sort of the campaign through the internet. As the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee, you, I believe, are a supporter of single-payer health care. Is that?
I've been careful about that. I'm supporting the campaign that health care is a human right, which establishes principles that universal access to affordable care. I see single-payer as a means to an end. I believe we definitely should have it nationally. That's what's going to work, and I think we could do it in Vermont too. And I've set up a process in my committee, working with the House Healthcare Committee as well. We've done a lot of work, the 2 committees together, to see how we could get there and see what the steps would be. And you know, it's complicated, and I think people understand that it's complicated to get there. But what I have said, and I'm very clear about this, is the system we have is broken. And nothing I'm hearing about different possible solutions working within some of the existing structures will get us to where healthcare costs are sustainable. And the costs of healthcare rising faster than the underlying costs of rates of inflation. And there's nothing I see that's going to bring those lines together, which means that we're going to continue pricing people out of decent health care. And I look at the governor's budget this year, and it's rationing of health care. It's low-income folks are going to get less health care with the governor's proposals. We're cutting back on catamounts, I say we, his budget, I don't want to own this. His budget is cutting back on catamount. His budget is cutting back on health care benefits for low-income people. So single payer is on the table, and we are looking at it, and we're pursuing how we go about that in Vermont, what the structure would look like. There are other proposals on the table that are getting serious attention too. I am committed to making some major steps in the right direction this year. Will we get to a single payer system that's going to be implemented in the next 12 months? No, probably not. Can we get to the point where we're building a system? We don't have a healthcare system now. It's all different providers, different hospitals. There's no overall budget. Can we put some of those building blocks in place that would allow us to then put a single payer system on top of that to make the whole system work? Yes, I think we could do that. And people are impatient, and I'm dealing with that. We've been talking about this for a long time. People want to see some action. So I'm trying to figure out what we can get done this year and how we can put a timetable out there, and what kind of work needs to be done when the legislature's not in session, so we can get to a new system. I think we need a new system. What we're doing now, which is employer-based, insurance company-based, is not working, and I don't believe it's going to work to do what we want here in Vermont.
Okay. We're, as a state, compared to other states, we do pretty well with covering
we do.
Our citizens, and it's almost like finishing the job. We've done a lot of good work with Dr. Dinosaur and such, but
Vermont and Massachusetts are way ahead of the rest of the nation. That doesn't mean we're good. You know, if you compare Vermont and Massachusetts to Canada or the Western European countries, we aren't doing as well as we should. But we are trying to lead the way. And one of the difficulties, Mike, is that we aren't a nation. I mean, Canada can say, this is the way we're going to do it for the whole country. We're operating as one state. And some of the challenges with single payer are to bring in the Medicaid population, the Medicare population, so you could really have a single payer.
Sure.
You need permission from Washington to be able to do that. And then there are the issues that people on the eastern side of the state face, as a lot of Vermonters go over to Dartmouth-Hitchcock. In the northwestern part of the state, a lot of Fletcher Allen's patients are coming in from New York. So it's trying to figure out how we can carve Vermont out and do things a little bit differently. So it's complicated, but it's not impossible. And that's what we're trying to figure out, is how to get to that point, how to get the permission we need, waivers from the federal rules, so that we can bring some of those populations in. You know, and I keep pointing out, or having pointed out to me too, that the Canadian system started with one province. Province of Saskatchewan carved themselves out. So we're looking at what they did and say, okay, how does that give us a roadmap to where we want to go?
Right.
I think Vermont can lead the way.
I think in the present Washington bill, Hawaii, which also does a good job of, does have a waiver or some way that they're kind of guaranteed they won't end up worse than they are. So there's, you know, they're doing a lot of horse trading down there right now. And
actually, they're doing a lot of really good things. It's just they're in a different situation. It's hard for people to go over the border in Hawaii to another state.
That's right. They literally are an island.
They are an island. They can carve themselves out, and we can learn from them. But boy, I got to tell you, there's a lot of energy to do something different in Vermont. And it's coming from a lot of different quarters. I talked to physicians who want to see change, business owners who want to see some changes. It's growing out there, and it's one of those issues that I think most Vermonters feel that something different has to be done. So we're going to try to find a better way. Great.
I want to move to some technology issues, and maybe start just the Public Service Board it's an independent entity, is that fair to say? But it's also part of the executive branch. You could help me understand that in the context of Fairpoint and Vermont Yankee.
Well, it's kind of an odd structure in state government. We have the Public Service Department, which is part of the executive branch, with a commissioner appointed by the governor and answering to the governor. And then we have the Public Service Board. We're appointed, 3 members appointed by the governor, and they're sort of quasi-judicial is what we call them. They have judicial responsibilities. They are independent. They don't report to the governor. The governor appoints them.
Did they use the department as their staff, the Public Service Department as their staff?
No, they have their own staff. The Public Service Department is there to represent the public and the public's interest. And of course, depending on the governor and the politics at the time, there are debates on whether they are really protecting the consumer interests or whether they're looking out for Vermont Yankees' interests or the utilities' interests. But that's their job, and the public can evaluate whether they're doing it when they pick a governor. Yeah, they will present cases to the board. The utility companies, when they're asking for a rate increase, go to the board. The Public Service Department evaluates that request and gives the board its opinion.
So it was the board that approved the Fairpoint sale, is that right?
Yes. Yeah, with the support of the Public Service Department. The governor said this is the right way to go. There were a number of us in the legislature who questioned the wisdom of that decision. We felt that Fairpoint was not capable because they were such a small company of purchasing all the landlines they were buying in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And it's proven that those of us who were concerned about that were right. I think it was a decision for Vermont.
So what next if they go on? I mean, they sort of have another restructuring plan. I mean, we'll always have a landline, right? Or are we all supposed to get some internet-based phone and move technology forward? And
you know, I wish I could say definitively that we'll always have a landline. That's what I'm told. And people are a lot smarter about these things than I am. Say we'll always have our landlines. You know, part of the issue for Fairpoint is more and more people are abandoning their landlines. You know, I've got my cell phone. And I sit at home sometimes. And I'm so used to using it that I don't even bother using the landline anymore.
But in terms of being cell phone dependent, Vermont is not the place that you can really pull that off like you can in a more coastal area.
No, we still have a lot of issues with that. And the other committee I serve on, you mentioned Health and Welfare, and in the Senate we serve on 2 committees. I'm on the Economic Development and Housing and General Affairs Committee. And we've talked a lot about the economic development value of improving cell phone coverage in Vermont and broadband access in Vermont. And we got a long ways to go in Vermont.